I guess you guys have a modern view of dating, but and courtship, but traditionally there was always an involvement of pastoral counsel. What are your views on that? Should we have pastors who come and pray for you before the date and they give approval? Stay away from this young lady. Or what is your view on that?
I hear you. So it's basically two questions. Should pastors be involved? Should they give approval? I think firstly, to protect the ministry, I should first say pastors ideally should be custodians of our theology, like of our Adventism. When we look at them, we should find advice about anything. When they've done it right, we should pick up from them. I haven't answered the question yet, but I'm protecting them and their work. So to say that pastors should be involved or should not be involved is a tricky question. It's a yes or no. To some extent, there are pastors who are passionate about young people, their relationships, and they've done well. We've seen them, we've loved them, they've done well. But there's pastors who have no interest, particularly in relationships or young people. So where I'm going is, the ministry of pastors is as wide as there are careers. If we say pastors should be involved, now we are building the pastor that has no passion in ministry to now crash people's relations because he has no passion, but you are adding to his scope of work. So not all of them should be involved. I think that should be my disclaimer. Those that have passion. So, but the question seeks to ask that should we have advisors? Yes, it is important when we go into relationships, like anything in life, to always have somebody to look up to. It might not necessarily be a pastor, but somebody that can. So somewhere there.
Linda, you're being politically correct, man. Okay, should a pastor be involved in your relationship?
Should a pastor be involved in mine? Let's go to the second question. Should pastors give approval of relationship? Let me make an example now. Right. Adam had not sinned in the Garden of Eden. So at that point, although we assume he was the most intelligent person at that point, but God does not give him the right to choose a wife, but he was well enough to like intelligence, he had no sin, but God does not give him the right to choose a wife. In that regard, I would say if pastors were at that level, they should come in as like Christ, choose a wife for Adam. But we are in a sinful world. God could not. It's a bit tricky where I'm trying to go, but I don't think pastors should then be allowed to choose for his wives like God did. Because now, unlike Adam only had one choice, which was Eve. For us, it's a bit tricky. The choices are wider. So if we stick to Adam's choice, it might not be my choice. So I would not.
Very tricky.
So it's a yes or no for me.
What are the principles that are involved in courtship? If you can speak on those principles.
I think to give the principle, the first thing we must be able to do is what we started with: distinguish dating from courtship. With dating, there's no boundaries that much. There's no rule book. It's I'm trying out things. But with courtship, it's more now you settled. Now you are in an intention to get married. Now this must be more serious. With dating, you can go meander, go around, decide not. But with courtship, now you are literally saying, I might marry this person. So your attitude toward that person and life changes. You start, but it's not marriage. That's where I think sometimes we miss it, because the reason we don't reach marriage, because we now take courtship as if we do things in courtship that are supposed to be done in marriage. Then we miss the marriage, but it's not. It's too different. This is an intention path to marriage. So you are working towards something you are not at yet. So when you are there, courtship ends, but the joys of that person you don't lose. That's the person you chose to marry. So with courtship, I used Adventist Home, chapter 7, 8, and for the principles. They mention things like spending midnight, like night times together. Those things don't make sense to us because we chat. We've been chatting from Mixit. We had problems when WhatsApp was down. But those things are. I used to have a problem with WhatsApp because you are easily accessible. That's my challenge. But there are many other things that come with just being up the whole night with someone. You lose focus in life. You lose the sense of, like, everything is too casual. When you get to courtship, the casualness ends. You must be more serious. So having to announce your relation, that's another point that comes up, where you now tell your parents, this is you don't hide. I'm going out, I'm going to the movies. They don't know who you're going. If you are intending to be with this person, you must start working out if it's going to work with the rest of the family. So there must be someone that knows who you're spending time with, why you're spending time. So another word that keeps coming in that book is there must be a purpose single to God's glory. So whatever you are building must be, is this relationship fulfilling whatever God wants in our lives? If it doesn't, you must start questioning. So those are things you build within courtship, you work towards. So I think those are basic things that you look at while you're in courtship. My biggest point is that you are not married. You're not, so you do away with now because you're courting, you buy a house, you want to move into the person. It's going to create challenges at the end. So you are working. Sometimes when we start courting, we think we must marry the person, but there's nothing wrong if it never leads to marriage. So you don't want to do things that you will regret if it never works out. So do it fully in its own purpose. If the next step comes, you will enjoy it without having taken from the future, if that makes sense.
In fact, in that very same chapter, Common Courtship Practices,
Practice 8 years.
She also mentions the issue that if you go and approach a lady without the knowledge of the parents, it's actually theft.
Yes,
And
deception.
but anyway, we'll talk about this after the... what are your views? Should we be allowed to date people from other denominations?
Well, when I was leading the students in a STASM setting, I always used to say, we should not be equally yoked. The response always comes unequally yoked. Yes, thank you. Then the response comes, we've seen other people where it's been successful and the partners join the church, and this could be another form of church growth. And I still say to them, we should not go in that direction. Because as a church, we know what happens when you break up with a fellow Adventist. You both grow up in the same tenets of faith. So if he decides to go otherwise, his being tells him he's losing it. You don't need to explain why you are in this particular faith. Now, when you go to a person of another denomination, I'm not saying it won't work, but what I'm saying is the foundations of your faith are a bit different. So you might not see God in the same light. Your ways of dealing with problems, I think the two major things that keep relationships going or that kill relationships, communication, conflict resolution. If you have a relationship that has those two things going very well, you guys are good to go. But if you've challenged to deal with those two things, the relationship doesn't exist. So if you are from different denominations, the way you communicate is built from different tenets. The way you solve conflicts is from different viewpoints. So already your foundation is at a disadvantage. I'm not saying it won't work. What I'm saying is it is better. We have a way to help when it fails in-house. Out-house, you will create new problems that we must still research. So for your own sake, let's keep it in. When the evangelism program has worked externally and the member is now ours, it's safer for you. So I think that's where my response is.
All right. Wow. Look, we've run out of time. And we haven't even started to discuss what we wanted to, but it's okay. I'd like to thank you for availing yourself for this discussion. I really thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you so much. And perhaps to our viewers at home, we like to thank you for inviting us into your space, and we hope that we will see you again in the coming up shows. And maybe a final word. You know, like the pandemic that is going on, we ought to take personal protective steps so that we don't get infected. And similarly, even with the pandemic of Mjolo, we also need to protect ourselves. And the word says we need to guard our hearts diligently. And I think we should sacrifice our hearts to Jesus Christ, because he is the one who can protect them, because he saves, he sanctifies, and he satisfies. Don't forget to share your comments with us. The hashtag is still TCG on SID. Let us know what you think, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel. It is the SIDmedia on YouTube. And yeah, that's it for today. Really enjoyed having you with us, and from me and the team, goodbye. See you next week.